Guys, I just saw a movie that I saw 6 years ago, and I hated it then, and I hate it now. Okay. Hercules with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson as Hercules. I was psyched when this first happened. It was way back in 2014. Everyone was psyched, at least in my family. That like my mother, well, it was me and my mom. We went and saw that, and she even hated it. She usually doesn't care one way or the other. But the thing is, okay, in order to understand just how bad this movie is on a personal level, and then how bad they did insulting the character in the movie itself. Okay, my background with the character Hercules. I grew up watching Hercules, The Legend of Hercules: Legendary Journeys with Kevin Sorbo, and I was a little kid, and my aunt was in high school at the time. Was it high school or middle school? School, doesn't matter. She was learning about Greek mythology. So as I was watching the show, I was also learning the actual mythology from her. Okay, but so like all this movie is pretty. That's the only thing it has going for it. It's pretty and has a Hollywood budget. That's it. There's no heart in it. There's the the Rock gave his all, but the script, the story, the was just awful. It was awful, and okay, it follows Hercules and his ragtag group that um he's gotten over the years as he does his 12 labors. In mythology, it was his 12. He had to do these 12 labors for forgiveness for slaying his family, and I don't remember what caused him to slay his family in the actual mythology to begin with. I think it was like a burst of rage and a blind rage or something. I don't remember. But in the mythology of the 12 labors, he does those 12 labors to become immortal and for forgiveness. Okay. And this one is just for forgiveness. But, kid you not, this is the whole point. Like, they missed the whole point of what a Hercules movie should be. How do I say it and actually convey it? You watch any Hercules movie or TV show, there's going to be mythical monsters and creatures in it, and everyone knows about it. And like everyone like knows, oh, well, that Cyclops exists, that the Minotaurs and Centaurs, they're real things. The Amazons, they're real, and we're scared of them. That kind of stuff. Sirens are real. This took a much more. The heck? The TV turned on. Just a second. Okay, much better. No, where was I? Oh, yes. It took a much more skeptic, agnostic kind of route, essentially. Which, like, I don't. It's. That's not the kind of story you want to tell when you're telling the story of Hercules. Because the whole point of Hercules is he's the son of Zeus, which explains why he is abnormally strong, like why he's able to do feats that no other human being can do. Like that's part of the point. The point of a Hercules movie is you get to see Hercules battle all these mythical mythology monsters, and then but also trying to basically be a good Samaritan, essentially. And they missed that whole point. Like, I kid you, like, Hercules and his group are essentially scam artists, almost. That's essentially what they are. and they even admit to it. Like it's the only thing this movie has going for itself, but is actor wise, is the star Dwayne Johnson, of course, Ian McShane, love Ian McShane, and John Hurt. Okay, that's about it. That's the only three stars in that movie that anyone would know. I don't know anyone else that plays in this movie. I'm not saying they're bad actors or actresses. I just don't know them. But even the Hercules movie that came out like a year or two before this one understood this. It was still a bad movie, but it understood why it understood the point of a Hercules movie is supposed to be. Hercules, freakishly strong, son of Zeus, and is able to perform physical feats that no one else can. That's the point. Okay. Even that movie, they couldn't decide to make Hercules they couldn't decide if they wanted Hercules in that movie to be Kratos or not. And like, I kid you not, there's a direct scene in that movie, not this one that I'm talking about now. It came out a year. I think it was called The Legend of Hercules or something like that. Anyway, I don't even know the name of the actor that played that guy. It played him either in that one. But I kid you not, there's a scene where he's chained to a wall, breaks the chains, but like he breaks the wall, so there's still like clubs, blocks of the cement bound to the chains, and he's swinging them Kratos Blades of Chaos style. They couldn't decide they couldn't decide in that movie if they wanted Hercules to be Kratos or Thor. I kid you not, because the final fight, Hercules is swinging an electric field of lightning on his sword. They couldn't decide who they wanted Hercules to kind of be in that one. But they understood he's supposed to be superhuman, essentially, and that there was a source to it. This one has none. It was basically like, yeah, he may be the son of Zeus, but in the end, it doesn't really matter, kind of thing. And I'm like, for a Hercules movie, yeah, it does. Okay, so basically this is the rundown of the whole movie. Hercules and his ragtag band of misfits get summoned to this king to protect his land from this group that's tearing it apart. Okay, they go from a couple battles, and then after the battle, they're celebrating. Hercules is kind of, he's kind of like, did I really do the right thing? Like, something doesn't quite add up here with how certain people are acting and responding. Something's off. And like, he goes and questions the princess. Oh, was she the princess? I guess, I don't know. She's essentially like, okay. She reveals that the king, John Hurt, is not the rightful king. He poisoned the king, which was her husband and her son's father, and he threatened to kill the son if she didn't do what he said. Okay, fine, that's fine. But throughout the movie, Hercules is haunted by the death of his family, and that's kind of like symbolized by Cerberus, the three-headed hellhound. Okay. Well, at the end of the climax of the movie, we find out no, it wasn't Cerberus. It was just the three wolves that the people keep that killed his family, because the king was scared of Hercules because the people worshipped him more than the king. So he was jealous, essentially. Okay. It's a bad movie, man. It's barely just, it misses the whole point. Like, John Hurt, Ian McShane is the best part of this movie. Like, he has this gift of prophecy a little bit, and like he's like I will die by a flaming arrow or spear in my heart. And every time he thinks it's about to happen, like fire arrows are raining down on him, and he just goes like, huh, and then walks off. You know, that kind of thing. That's funny. That comes into play a couple times in the movie. But it's just, this is why I say no one will ever top Kevin Sorbo's performance as Hercules. Yeah, was his acting kind of cheesy and hokey at times? Yeah, but they got the point of what a Hercules show or movie is supposed to be. It wasn't lost on them. They figured, they like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like, oh. The big problem I have with this movie, and I don't even hear people talk about this movie anymore, just goes to show how offensive it is it it takes it takes like it takes one of those things where, like, okay, there's there's a little bit of truth sprinkled in every myth and legend, but how much of that how much of that is legend, and how much of that is myth, and how much of that is actual truth. Okay, I can get that. But not with Hercules. Like, we know, like, everyone knows, at least my age and up, knows the legend, like, the basic principle and story of Hercules. And why, like, even Disney figured this out, and I hate Disney now. I grew up with Disney, and they suck now. Watch me get canceled because of Disney. No, but like, even they understood that with for Hercules. And you know what? If they do make a live action Hercules, I will watch it because I want them to do better than this one did. But basically, like, okay, they're saying, like, is Hercules really the son of Zeus or not? Doesn't really matter. Yeah, it does, because there's no other way a human being can perform the freakishly feats of strength that this guy does. There's no other like. There's no like. How do you explain that if other if you don't have like a reason for it? Like, it doesn't work. This movie very much upset me. Like, it's one of the only movies I actually remember my mother getting upset about. Like, it was that bad. So, and like, those of you who knew my mother, like, yeah, and most of the time she didn't really care. She just enjoyed the movie, whether it was good or bad or whatever. But this was one of the few times I actually saw her get mad. So, wow, way to go, Hollywood! You upset someone who couldn't even care. Well, I was actually kind of talking about Hercules a little bit with the pastor that I grew up, and we were talking, and we kind of came like if we kind of came to the conclusion that it was very possible that the whole myth and mythology of Hercules came from Samson in the Bible. And if you don't know who that is, basically he's the real life Hercules in a nutshell. Basically, like, he he was able to perform the feats of strength that you would think Hercules would, but he only did that when the Lord allowed him to, or in situations when he prayed and asked the Lord for strength, kind of thing, to and all that. But the whole problem with Samson was he very much lived for himself and didn't care. Like, and I know, like, I'm not going to get into all that because I'm painting with very broad strokes. If you want to read into that, or whatever, if you want to go read it, go ahead. If you want to ask a question, go ahead. Fine, and I'll tell you more about it. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is why did The Rock sell out? Because I remember him promoting this movie, and he was excited. And apparently, he wanted to play Hercules for many years before this. And he finally got his chance. And I'm just thinking, why would you sell out for this when it's not a story worthy, like I say worthy, but that should be told for Hercules. And the only thing I can figure out is the same thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger with the last Terminator. They threw more money at him, like because okay, that's going to be on the chopping block too, by the way. But okay, it's essentially I say both situations went down like this. No, this is not a story worthy for this character. Here's more money. Okay, that's essentially what it was. Like, no, this movie is not. This script sucks for this Terminator movie. It must be better. Here's more money. Okay, what do you want me to do? That kind of stuff. I kid you not, that's exactly what happened. Like, there's no other explanation other than, well, Arnold got old, so he don't care. But he still cared enough to appear in it. So it's one of those things where, like, why didn't he go back to doing a Predator movie? That may have helped him out greatly, and that franchise too. I'm a little mad. I'm a little mad. A little bit. I summed up like a 2-hour movie in what 15 minutes, essentially, maybe less. And when I was actually talking about the whole story, so yeah, it's not a good movie at all. Not at all. It's very upsetting. If you grew up a fan of Hercules or just mythology, it spits in your face essentially. So yeah, I was very upset. No one will ever top the performance of Kevin Sorbo from Legendary Journeys. No one ever has yet. So I was very, very mad. Oh goodness. Speaking of which, I'm supposed to be getting Hercules Legendary Journeys in the mail today, so I'm looking forward to that. 5 seasons. Each episode's an hour. I'm looking forward to it. I watched the first season on PSN, but for whatever reason they only have the first season. Why, I don't know. That seems retarded to me. But it's not a good movie, man. Like it has no heart to it. Like it has spectacle and put together, but no heart. It's just a lifeless husk that looks pretty. It's very mad. So apparently I'm running out of things to say, except that if Hollywood's gonna do a Hercules movie, they better learn their lesson and get their act together. Take some notes from the 90s. I don't know. It's like another thing about it was, and I think this is just Hollywood in general now, is back in the day, like, okay, part of the appeal, at least for me, and I think a few others, um, is when you see a guy that kind of he looks kind of average, but he's not super muscular or roided out or like ripped, but you can tell he's not going to break if something hits him. He has a bit of muscle, but not huge or overly defined and all that kind of stuff. But like the appeal is he's able to do feats of strength that you don't think someone twice his bulk would be able to do. That kind of stuff. Like he does feats of strength far surpassing he does feats of strength that far surpasses the what his body looks like should be able to do. Now, it may look better when it's someone like The Rock, but especially, and it could have been if they allowed him to go over the top, more over the top, like, because like, and they kept, what really hindered it is every time they tried to, like, he tried to do something huge and over the top, they pulled it back, like, oh, this guy, like, he when a guy is charging at him, he breaks off his archer's the head of the arrow from his archer in company, and puts it like between here in his knuckles, and then punches the dude in the face. Now the dude goes flying, which should have killed him, but no, it's just the arrowhead lodged in his face, which no one his forehead, which no one notices. Like, it's stuff like that that's like, it's almost double-edged, I guess. It's really stupid. Because I don't know what happened with Rock, but it could have been, you could have done way better. And I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying I feel like you sold out too much. And I don't know how the negotiations went, how much you actually love the character or anything, but to someone who grew up with the character and the actual mythology of the character, it was insulting. And I don't mean that directed at you. I think a lot of that was writing and script. But I'm not mad at The Rock. I'm not mad at The Rock. I'll make that very clear, because he was doing what he was hired to do. But I think there should have been much more heart put into it, and there wasn't. It's very insulting as a fan. So, anyway, guys, I've ranted for like 20 minutes, so I'm sorry. No, I'm not. No, I'm not sorry. I was mad, so I just sit through this garbage twice. So, you know, if you want to see Hercules done right, even though it was many, many years ago and a bit of a budget, watch Hercules Legendary Journeys. And and the thing is, throughout like filming of that 5 seasons, Kevin Sorbo was hiding strokes, and he was hiding them, and I think he almost died. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think that's because, if anyone doesn't know, Kevin Sorbo's a Christian too. So, but like, I think that's what led him to the Lord. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that was the catalyst. And if you don't know, he's still doing stuff, and he's in much better health than he ever has been. But I don't know. It's very heartbreaking when you see something you, and this goes for anything. When you see something you grew up with and you loved, and then years later someone tries to do it again, and it's just garbage and torn to shreds. It's very heartbreaking. Oh gosh, I really have reached that age of life, haven't I? I'm gonna go get some Tylenol.